Hello and welcome to a new update. It has been quite some time, so let's get into it right away. As always, please make sure to leave a like and comment to support me. It really is just a small click for you, but it means a lot to me. Thank you. The 47th Mechanized Brigade released intense GoPro footage of what looks like a dawn-time M2 Bradley section assault on a Russian tree line in the area of WarLeaks Andrivka. The town lies in the vicinity of Avdiivka in the Donetsk region and is currently a frontline town, meaning that it is located in the gray zone between Ukrainian and Russian-controlled territory. The camera that was filming the assault was strapped onto the turret of one of the Bradleys as the vehicles were advancing towards the Russian-held tree line through an open field while sending heavy fire at the Russians with their 25mm Bushmaster cannons. Most of the time, we only get to see small pieces of such operations from this perspective, and most of the Bradley footage we see comes from drones, so this one here is definitely interesting to see. The Bradleys drive very close to the Russian positions, and the second one advances even further across the tree line while the M2 with the camera provides security and is scanning the area. It is unclear if they only engaged in a short drive-by shooting style harassment attack or if they also dropped off infantry to further assault and occupy the tree line. I looked up geolocated footage but definitely saw no indication that they dropped off infantry. The area they assaulted remains in the gray zone, so no clear control by one side has been officially assigned to the area. Since this was a small local counterattack, it is possible that they were bringing infantry with them to the fight that dismounted there. However, as mentioned, there has been no confirmation of this based on geolocated footage, which could change in the next few days. Russia will surely claim that the assault failed. Here we can see what was reported as a Russian drone downing a Ukrainian one by using a water bottle. The drone drops the bottle over the Ukrainian UAV that gets hit by it and falls to the ground. Here we see helmet cam footage of a Ukrainian soldier defending his position inside a trench against a Russian assault in a wooded area somewhere in Ukraine. From his position, he has a very narrow field of fire, from which he is firing on supposed Russian forces hiding behind the trees and bushes in front of him. For this, he uses a rifle that strongly looks like an M4 variant. In my last update, I was talking about helmet cam footage filmed during defensive operations in trench warfare, and how it often does not show us much. And well, here we have an example of this. Even if this footage is still interesting to see, Europe is slowly getting ready for war. The war in Ukraine, Russia's aggressive threats against European countries, and the uncertainty regarding the future reliability of their American allies have caused many European countries to rethink their defense strategy. Finland and Sweden's accession to NATO, Germany's rearmament plans and partial return to conscription, as well as the willingness of France, Poland, and several other countries to send troops to Ukraine, are just a few examples that illustrate this. Despite all this, Europe's defense strategy, however, is currently far from unified. Diverse national interests, fragmented defense procurement, reliance on the US and NATO, and several political and economic barriers are just a few challenges that hinder a truly unified strategy. What all agree on, however, is increased defense spending across the continent, and that the next conflict Europe could face will not only be a hybrid threat but also a real conventional conflict requiring a lot of resources and innovation. This was also evident at Eurosatory 2024, Europe's largest defense exhibition held in Paris, the capital city of France. I had the opportunity to visit this exhibition and gain some insights into new and future military equipment showcased there. Every major European defense company was present there and showed off their latest products, and from what I saw, one thing became clear to me. A huge emphasis on ground warfare in the form of a lot of traditional military equipment such as tanks and infantry fighting vehicles, paired with modern solutions and new approaches. What was also quite interesting was the fact that a lot of this equipment had a very high profile compared to current Russian or American equipment. They had some American vehicles, such as the Bradley and Abrams, on display, and compared to many of the other vehicles, they looked frankly small. This IFV here even had a profile nearly as high as a truck. This was also true for the new GMARS rocket launcher, a collaboration between Rheinmetall and Lockheed Martin, which looked almost gigantic compared to the HIMARS. I believe this is partly due to the fact that the new reality of the completely transparent battlefield, caused by revolutionary and advanced reconnaissance, intelligence, and surveillance capabilities through drones, was finally widely accepted. While traditionally a lower profile made vehicles harder to detect, particularly on the battlefield where they can be obscured by terrain, vegetation, or other obstacles, drones can now easily nullify this advantage. In other words, they will be detected anyway. This takes away one major layer of the famous survivability onion that says do not be detected as a rule of thumb. So when you most likely get detected anyways, why not go for better protection against specific threats, more payload, and the capability to mount larger weapon systems and defensive measures instead. Also, most of the newly developed vehicles are designed for the European theater in particular, so for many of them, there is no focus on air transportability like there is with much of the US equipment, for example. This was mostly the case for armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles. The profile of the new tanks, such as the German Panther, remained relatively small compared to many of the IFVs on display. Regarding tanks, it seems that many of the new models have adopted the Russian model of skipping one crew member and adding an autoloader. Both the Leopard 2A8 and the German Panther KF-51 were displayed with one variant showing a fully remote-controlled turret. Overall, it seems many of the lessons learned from Ukraine have been implemented into the new products. There was a lot of focus on anti-drone warfare through electronic warfare systems and anti-air defense, such as the Sky Ranger. A video about this system will be coming soon as well. Additionally, there was a lot of discussion regarding autonomous weapon systems and artificial intelligence in general, but these concepts are hard to showcase, as you might guess. Interestingly, drones, and by drones I mean unmanned aerial vehicles, were more of a sidekick for most exhibitors. There were many displayed here and there, scattered throughout the booths, but they definitely did not dominate the exhibition. Ukraine showcased quite a few of their domestically produced ones, and the UAE's Edge Group, which has long put a majority of their emphasis on unmanned aerial systems, had the largest portfolio of them on display. They showed quadcopters, loitering munitions, and cargo UAVs, which definitely made them look like they were filling a gap here. What was definitely noticeable was a huge amount of unmanned ground vehicles. Here, it also looked like lessons from the failed Ukrainian counteroffensive were taken into account, acknowledging that the current operational environment, with all the threats ranging from drones, mines, and artillery to attack helicopters, to name a few, is just too dangerous for manned spearheading missions and combined arms breaches. Therefore, a lot of unmanned breaching and demining equipment was shown, and even the Type X unmanned combat fighting vehicle by Milram Robotics was displayed with a mine roller in front of it. The huge trust many countries put into the unmanned ground vehicles developed by Milram Robotics and their necessity in a modern threat environment definitely makes it look like the Type X will spearhead future offensive operations to clear the way for friendly follow-on forces in tomorrow's high-risk environments European armies will have to face. Therefore, it is not surprising that Milram Robotics nearly flooded Eurosatory 2024 with a series of unmanned ground vehicles in combination with weapon systems from numerous European manufacturers. Milram Robotics is an Estonian company specializing in the development of unmanned ground vehicles. Founded in 2013, Milram Robotics has become a leading provider of robotic solutions for defense and commercial applications. In February 2023, it was announced that the UAE's Edge Group acquired a majority stake in Milram Robotics, making the country one of the #1 suppliers of armed unmanned ground vehicles in Europe. According to Western news outlets, Ukraine is getting ready to receive its first batch of F-16 fighter jets. German state TV reported that the first planes could arrive within this month. This marks a significant upgrade for the Ukrainian Air Force, which has primarily relied on Soviet-era aircraft. According to some sources on Telegram, the Russian Ministry of Defense has already put a bounty on the F-16, rewarding the first Russian service member to down one with about 15 million rubles. Throughout the week, Ukraine repeatedly attacked Russian air defense systems along the entire front line, including radars and missile launchers. Like in this example with a Russian S-300 battery that was engaged by Ukrainian missiles in the Donetsk region. This consistent prioritization of attacks on air defense systems suggests that Ukraine is already preparing for the arrival of the first F-16 fighter jets and intends to weaken the Russian air defense capabilities in advance. Due to the small number of F-16 jets, however, it is unrealistic to expect them to bring about an immediate change at the operational level on the battlefield. In the meantime, they will certainly be able to reduce the pressure on the Ukrainian rear by more efficiently and cost-effectively shooting down incoming drones and cruise missiles than would be possible with the use of expensive air defense missiles. Over time, as more F-16 jets are delivered and integrated into Ukraine's air force, their role could expand, providing greater air cover for ground operations and potentially shifting the balance of air power. Here we see a group of Russians on motorbikes on their way into the contested city of Chasiv Yar, west of Bakhmut in the Donetsk region. The men come under artillery fire but manage to avoid being hit several times on their way. The city of Chasiv Yar has been a focal point in the ongoing conflict, with both Ukrainian and Russian forces vying for control. The region's strategic importance stems from its proximity to key supply routes and its role in the broader battle for control over eastern Ukraine. Here we see a Ukrainian drone attack on a Russian oil depot in Russia. The attack was filmed by CCTV footage and shows a guard with an anti-drone rifle in his hands. Anti-drone rifles, also known as drone jammers or electronic warfare rifles, are specialized devices designed to neutralize unmanned aerial vehicles by disrupting their communication and navigation system. In this case, however, it did not work since these rifles are better suited for small commercial drones rather than bigger suicide ones with pre-programmed flight paths designed to crash into their target. Also, as drone technology evolves, so do countermeasures. Some drones are now equipped with anti-jamming capabilities, making it more challenging to neutralize them. Attacks on oil depots can have broader economic repercussions, potentially driving up fuel prices and creating economic strain. This is done in the hope of increasing domestic pressure on the Russian government to resolve the conflict, what however is obviously not the case.